Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Today. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the world of AI coding assistants and the fascinating new tool called Copilot-more. Now, as we explore this, I want to emphasize the importance of understanding how to use these technologies safely and effectively. So let's break this down. First off, if you're someone who uses GitHub Copilot, you might have noticed some recent changes. GitHub is tightening up its policies, which means you need to be more cautious than ever to avoid getting suspended or banned from the service. And trust me, nothing ruins a coding session like a suspension notice, right? So what can you do? Well, a critical bit of advice is to keep an eye on your token usage. Are you familiar with the term rate limit? Picture this. When you're trying to get through a crowded concert, there are only so many people allowed in at once. If you push past that limit, you get stuck outside. Similarly, hitting that rate limit with tools like GitHub Copilot could lead to a suspension. That's why it's vital to manage how often you call on these powerful AI models. Now let's talk about Copilot-more. This tool is designed to amplify the functionality of your GitHub Copilot subscription by exposing additional models, including the Claude-3.7-Sonnet. It's a bit like upgrading from a regular pizza to a loaded Supreme. More options, more flavors. But there are some caveats to keep in mind. One essential aspect is ethical use. Just like you wouldn't want someone to misuse a library book, you shouldn't misapply the API for tasks it wasn't intended for. Always use these tools for what they were designed to do. Coding. Here's where it gets really interesting. Have you ever tried to connect different applications? Well, running Copilot-more allows you to easily integrate it with tools like Klein, giving you access to advanced models without the hefty costs of pay-as-you-go APIs. That's a smart move for keeping your coding budget in check. And speaking of connection, setting up this tool requires a couple of steps. Nothing too tricky, though. First, you need a refresh token. Think of it as your backstage pass. You have to get this by issuing a command and then following a few straightforward steps to get your access token. Once you have that ready, you can either run it on your own server or use Docker. Choose whichever feels more comfortable for you. Just ensure that your environment is set up correctly. It's like having the right ingredients in your kitchen before cooking a recipe. Let's not skip over rate limiting, though. It's a feature that helps prevent you from overusing the API beyond what's reasonable. Think of it as setting a timer for your meals. You don't want them to burn while you're distracted. You can configure these limits based on your usage patterns, which is fantastic for keeping everything balanced and functioning smoothly. So here's something to ponder. As these AI models advance, how do you feel about the balance between access and ethical use? On one hand, these tools can supercharge your coding abilities, but on the other, they come with responsibilities. It's a fine line, isn't it? Before we wrap up, let me just highlight a key takeaway. Be mindful of your API usage, understand the tools available at your fingertips, and integrate them responsibly. That way, you can maximize your productivity without crossing any lines. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Talk Today. If you found this information helpful, share it with your fellow coders. And remember, stay curious and keep coding responsibly. Catch you all in the next episode.